heading out to go look at, I got a call for an ice maker that's making a bunch of noise. So let's get out there and take a look at this thing and see what's going on with it. The noisy ice maker. Okay, so I'm here. Ice maker's back here. Oh yeah, the grinder, listen to that. Old school Hoshizaki, look at that, R22. Wow, old timer. Yeah, still chugging along. Okay. I'm going to take that apart and take a look at it. There it is, 2009. Definitely the bearings are worn out. The thing I want to check before selling them a new water pump is to make sure the evaporator hasn't separated. We'll jump up top and I'll show you the plates up there. You want to make sure that they're still stuck to the evaporator and not separated, and I'll show you up there. Alright, so what you want to check is these are welded onto the tube, the metal parts. And you want to see if they separate. And these are all still stuck on there. God, it's an old ice maker, hanging tough. But these parts will separate and they'll be like flipping and flopping in there. But this one's still together. That noise will drive you nuts. Manager made a good point in the restaurant over there. I'm gonna go grab a water pump at the parts house for that thing. Dude, they're trying to run a restaurant in there, man. They can't have people in there eating with that thing so noisy you could hear it out in the restaurant. So I gave them a price to replace the bin, the ice maker, and the condenser. That one's a remote. But they're gonna see if they can squeak it out a little longer with just the water pump and maybe try for after summer and replace that system. So let's go get the water pump and we'll change it out because they just can't have the noise in there. So that's what happens sometimes. Those Hoshizaki water pumps, that's an expensive repair. That's not a cheap repair. So let's go do it. Okay, there's our old motor. I went ahead and cut the wires. And then you want to keep the little conduit here. Had a Molex connector plugs into there, so I just took this off. We're going to make a splice. The new one doesn't come with it, so you just kind of splice it on there. But you want to get this back on there. And then we have a new capacitor right here. Got to take that off, and it mounts up inside the control panel there. We'll get to that in a sec. There's the run capacitor for that motor, 5.5 microfarads by 250 volts, made in Japan. That's your run cap. Alright, that's the motor mount. It sits in there like that to hold the motor. That's what clips in back there, so we'll get that tidied up a little bit. And then we'll get the motor into the motor mount. The wires fish through this hole right here. Right there, and then we'll get it back in place. Okay, I give the new guys a heads up. So when you have to take this off there to get your pumping out. But when you're putting it back, before you put it back in there, go ahead and get your main hose on. And your main hose goes on the back one. I've seen guys crisscross these so much I'll get service calls where it's not making ice because they'll put the dump valve connector on the back one. The dump valve goes to the front and the main tube goes to the back. So get that on there before you push the water pump back in. It makes it a lot easier. Okay, so it'll look like that when you get the motor back in and screwed in. Main tube in the back and your dump valve to the front. Okay, so we got it in. The wires follow these clips all the way up. And then you get to the part where you're at the end, and get our ground hooked up, and then into our Molex connector. Now, back in here will be the capacitor. Okay, there's the old capacitor, here's the new one, and it screws in right behind the transformer there. So, I gotta get it screwed back in up there. Okay, there's the new one running, nice and quiet. Much better. Well, that's a testament to ice makers right there. That old Hoshizaki still chugging along. You know, I put that ice maker in when I worked for the shop in town back in the late 90s. And that thing's still chugging along. They're just great ice makers. I'm a huge fan of the Hoshizakis. Mike